Welcome viewers to this series of lectures on early Indian history. I am Shankar Kumar and alongside me is Manisha Sharma, who will be helping me through symbolic expression in making better sense of this lecture. The topic that we are going to talk about today is Vedic Cosmogonies, understanding its social underpinnings. When we say cosmogonies and we are trying to figure it out with reference to ancient Indian history, what is it that we are talking about? Well, all of us do know that we have literary sources like the Rig Veda and the later Vedic sources like Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved, Brahmanas and several other treatises that help us make some kind of an impression about the life and times of the Vedic people, but that's not enough, because these sources were not intended to be written as historical sources. In a sense, these sources are actually hymns written to propitiate God, to make gods happy, right? But alongside it, we have several imaginations, we have several, you can say, figures or prefigures of mind of the times that tells us about the origin issues. So what is this origin issues? If you look at the major religions the world over, across time in history, they have necessarily addressed to this question as to how we came into existence, why things are the way they are around us, why are things born, why do entities die, what do we make sense of the physical surrounding around us, what is it that happens after life, and so forth. Now, these are the questions that are not cognitive issues, that are not cognitive questions. These are not the things that we see and name them as, say, table, tree, mountain, river, and so forth, but these are the larger human quest to make sense of our existence. So, in the present times, we can make sense of our existence through different agencies. It could be through science, it could be through our several other awareness that we have. But if you go to the ancient times or early times, the major agency, the major source that quenched this thirst of mankind was religion, and that too major religions. I'm here not talking of some totemic religious practices that were centered around some sacred items that they revered or feared or they were dear to them and so forth, but big organized religions that answered these questions. So this is very basic human quest, intellectual quest to make sense of the world around us. Now, how do these religions address this question? Now, here, of course, we would be talking essentially about Vedic Hinduism and the way they are expressed in Vedas. But even if you see, say, Christianity, Islam, or other Buddhism and other major religions of the world today, you will realize that they have addressed this origin issue questions. And the best analogy that they can draw to answer this question is from what they see around them as part of the universe. So the processes, the key processes, the critical processes, say the sun, the moon, the light, air, and so forth, that they see around them, and the critical processes through which generation and regeneration of life happens, the essence of life flows, and so forth, they constitute the backdrop, they constitute the context, they constitute the analogy that are used to make sense of our existence and to account for things the way they happened in our life. I'll just give you one example that is outside this Vedic discourse that we would be talking about, just to clarify this point. For example, and this is happening across cultures, for example, we all know, or maybe traditionally it's bequeathed to us much before natural sciences told us in very empirical terms as to how these things happen. Religion, big religions, told us that sun is a source of light, heat, maybe energy, and even say vitality of life, right? Similarly, mankind must also be seeing moon in night, and moon was associated with say coolness, with say unctuosity, or what is called moisture, water, whereas sun is associated with, say, fire, right? Now, fire and water are very essential to our mundane life, to our everyday life, right? And there we have something around us in the universe which can be held to be the source of it, right? So, fire source is coming from the sun, the water source is coming from the moon. This is a narrative, this is a visualization, right? This is the way things are connected in cosmological terms to account for things. Now, again, coming back to the everyday life, what we see is that there is soil which grows plants on it, and growth of plants require water, right? And this water is supplied to the soil through some means or the other, by natural means to begin with. They are absorbed by the soil. Now, what happens inside is not empirically probed at this point of time in past, but is imagined, right? Is imagined that, okay, something must be happening to the water that has been supplied to the soil, and then plants grow, seeds undergo some change and plants grow. It is these plants that are eaten by the eaters of plants. Now, other animals who are carnivore, they would kill these animals and eat it as their food. So, the eater consumes the other animal, and this is how the cycle goes till the pyramid of food cycle, right? So, the eater becomes eaten by some other animal till it reaches the attic, till it reaches the top of the food chain. Now, this is how the cycle of life is happening around us. Now, this had to be accounted for as to how things happen and why things happen, when it happens, what are the sources for the critical ingredients of life, and so forth. Now, this analogy you can find in Indian tradition as well as in Greek tradition. This cosmology of sun and the moon. Sun standing for fire, moon standing for water, right? And you will see several traditions and mythologies weaved around it in different religions and different anecdotes and different traditions and different practices, right? For example, if it is a full moon night, then something or some coldness will come, something sheetal will come and impregnate the kheer, the bowl of rice or something which is to be consumed, and it becomes very tasty and so forth. So such anecdotes, such legends are woven with reference to a cosmology that is rooted in these societies in different religious denominations, right? Therefore, it is just not enough to only read the passages of Rigvedic richas or Rigvedic hymns and make sense of the way things must be happening. But alongside these richas, these hymns of Rigved, we also have such imaginations. We have also some imageries that constitute Vedic cosmogony, and that helps us understand the mental frame of the people living in these times, and how it over a period of time contends with several other cosmogonies which could have emerged in different traditions, or which could have emerged from different communities or from different social groups within the same community. And over a period of time, since we are talking of the Vedic period, of course we are talking of a very big timeline, say from 1500 before the Common Era to around 600 before the Common Era. So over this period, say of 1100 years or so, so many things undergo change. So many different imageries are there. At times they are fitting into each other. At times they go as different tangents, go in opposite directions, right? Yet, if you look at the Vedic literature or the corpus of Vedic literature, there is a semblance of homogeneity. There is a semblance of all these cosmogonies coming together in a coherent way, right? But that should not lead us into believing that it was always so like this, because this homogeneity is worked upon homogeneity. This homogeneity has been arrived at, right? And this exercise of arriving at a very coherent Vedic cosmogony involved simultaneously accepting several other cosmogonies or several other cosmological stories or imageries. You can also say subordinating several other stories, and also putting aside or rejecting or doing away with several other cosmogonies over a period of time, right? So it's not a very cogent, coherent kind of process through which this uniformity or this homogeneity of Vedic cosmogony emerges. It's a process over a long period of time which involves acceptance or coexistence and even rejection and subordination of several other cosmological legends or understandings and imageries with which different communities operate, right? So the entire exercise of this set of lectures that we would be talking about as part of this is to understand the representation, cosmological representation of questions that are very eternal, that are very central to human existence, in terms of the actual changes that are happening in the Vedic period. All of us know that Rigvedic period is little different from the later Vedic period. How do we know this? Because Rigved reads little differently as compared to the tone and tenor of the later Vedic texts. There is fair degree of continuity, there is fair degree of cogency between the two, but it appears distinct, it appears pristine, it appears original, right? And the later Vedic texts are elaborations in some way or the other of the Rigvedic hymns that appear to be more pristine than the later Vedic literature, right? So we would be keeping all these things in mind as we proceed through our discussion around the Vedic cosmogony. And that's why I have titled it as Understanding its Social Underpinnings, because it's not in the rarefied it's not in the rarefied stratosphere of philosophy that we would only be talking about or making sense of this, but we would be bringing it down to the mundane life, although the claim of Vedic cosmogony would be that it is extra mundane. It is all eternal. It is all given. But all of us know that a disciplinary understanding of history should not only accept everything that is narrativized as history or as reasons for things having happened in a particular way in the sources, but we do make our logical arguments incident on these stories to make sense of, to make realistic sense of what must have happened, the way different stories would have emerged at different points of time, the way it would have assimilated some stories, the way it would have rejected some stories, and ultimately coherent, cogent account of a particular cosmology in a very broad way could have emerged that we understand as Vedic cosmogony. Also important here, and these are some of the I would say exceptions that we are making right before we get into the details of Vedic cosmogony. That Harappan period, which is by the mainstream scholarship of history writing considered to be prior to the Vedic period. In the Harappan period, we don't have access to the written literature. Whatever is available as written scripts are very few, and they have not satisfactorily been deciphered. So the mindset of people, the mental make of people, the significance of what they are doing is largely ununderstood in the Harappan context, and therefore, although we have some figurative representations of a tree and some strange creatures hanging around it, some anthropomorphic figures, some figures combining animals and humans, they are very much there, which could lead us into some kind of an insight about their cosmogony as well. But in the absence of written literature, there is not much sense with a sense of certitude that we can make for Harappan period, and therefore Vedic cosmogony happens to be the earliest that are available to us in Indian history, and that's yet another reason as to why it acquires significance. But as I said, that in the next part of this lecture, we would try to talk more about it with reference to the changes that were happening across time in the Vedic period, say from 1500 BC to around 600 BC. And it is in that sense that we would be trying to understand as to how a particular visualization about the way things happened, or the existential meaning of life or mankind undergoes a change and emerges as a distinct, coherent body of meanings that we understand as Vedic cosmogony. Thank you.